Today, not tomorrow.
Hey everybody, welcome. Just getting the live stream set up here, so we'll get started in about 2 minutes. I'm just beginning to let people into the room now, and then we'll begin the master class in just a sec. All right, so while we're getting started, for those of you who are here, would love to have a brief hello. Andrea, Kate, Laura, welcome. If you guys want to introduce yourselves in the chat, I'd love to hear what type of coaching you do and where you're calling in from. Welcome, Chitty. We have another person logged in here with an iPhone. I was just telling everybody, would love to hear an introduction from you all. So please introduce yourselves in the chat. Would love to hear what type of coaching you do as well. If you're just getting started, you can let me know you're just getting started. Hey, Kate from Washington, coaching divorced mothers to live life on their own for the first time. Love that. Thanks for sharing. All right, just letting in a few more people here and then we'll get started. Hey, Rebecca, welcome. Andrea, we have a life and spiritual coach in Florida. Welcome. David, welcome. If you're just getting here, would love to hear what type of coaching you do. Doing just brief introductions in the chat for right now, and we'll dive in. Hello from Indiana. Hey, Rebecca. Chitty, great to see you again. Coaching educators to overcome their fears, avoid chronic stress, burnout, and build resistance. Love that. Danessa, welcome. Laura from South Carolina. Oh, I'm your neighbor. I'm here in North Carolina. Coaching self-love. First time. Welcome. Danessa, would love to hear what type of coaching you do. Welcome to the call. Everyone's kind of introducing themselves in the chat right now. Welcome, Divya. We're just doing introductions. Everyone's just kind of arriving. So would love to hear what type of coaching you do. And I know we've been working together, so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Feel free to introduce yourself to everyone in the chat. Let's see, Rebecca, I assist parents with improving their communication and self-regulation to improve their relationship with their children. Love that. Danessa from Denver. Okay, I was just in Boulder. Beautiful area. The hiking there is incredible. And yeah, I have a mentor who lives out there in Boulder. So that's awesome. Health and life coaching. Haven't landed solidly on your niche yet. All right. Well, glad to have you here. For those of you who have shown up on time, thank you very much. We're going to dive right in. Oh, I'm going to let one more person in. Another person. Okay, hang on. Two more people joining now. Let's see. We have Dion. Welcome, Dion. Would love to hear a brief introduction. Everyone's just introducing themselves in the chat right now. So if you want to let us know what type of coaching you do and where you're calling in from, that would be awesome. And yeah, welcome everybody. So we're going to get started now. What we're going to cover today, so we're going to cover clarity on your income goals with your coaching business. We're going to cover money mindset and energetics of money. At the end, we're going to create a roadmap to increase your income. And we're also going to have an invitation. So I'll make an invitation for you guys if you want to take the next step to explore what working with me one-on-one might look like. So make sure you have a pen and paper handy because this is going to be very interactive and you're going to have to take notes and journal on some things. There's going to be a lot of journaling. So be sure to have pen and paper. This is going to be important for the duration of the training. All right. So Dion says from Ohio, soul transformation coach. Yes. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. So what I'm going to start with is a brief story about, my history and how I got to where I am today. And basically, growing up, I was in a family that was like lower middle class. My dad was a FedEx truck driver. My mom restores antique clocks, which is kind of a unique job. And growing up, there was a lot of scarcity around money and like a lot of limitation and limiting beliefs. And that even stemmed back to like my grandparents and great grandparents who went through the depression, right? So growing up, I had a lot of limiting beliefs around money and what was possible. And it took me going broke like twice to really realize like there's got to be a better way. I can remember the first time I went broke, I was a drummer in a band and we were going on a tour across the East Coast all the way out to Ohio and down through Georgia and then back up to Maine, which is where I was living. And I literally had no money in my bank account after that tour. I spent it all. And I got back and I had no job because I quit my job to go on tour and be in a band, like a young 21-year-old would do. So I started waiting tables to like make some money and was like, okay, like I don't want to do the corporate life. The musician thing is kind of hard. Like maybe I'll be a sound engineer and like have a career in sound engineering. So I ended up going to school for that, graduated, realized it's very difficult to make money as a sound engineer. My life kind of fell apart. I was living with my parents. I was 26 at this point, and living with my parents, and I was like, I need something different. And I had an opportunity to move to Hawaii. I moved to Maui, Hawaii. I lived there for 7 years. I actually just moved to Asheville, North Carolina, and I've been here since February. But while I was in Maui, that really changed my whole life because one, I was living on an island, so I was limited to an economy on an island. And I was like, I need a way to make money online that doesn't rely on like local economies and catering to tourists and working in restaurants, which is what I was doing. So I met somebody through my restaurant job who his cousin had a digital marketing agency. They were doing like $1 million a year. that was like my first influential mentor when it came to making more money. So I paid his cousin like 5 grand to teach me everything he knew about starting a marketing agency. I launched this agency and ended up doing quite well. I made over $750,000 through digital marketing services. So I was doing ads, funnels, doing marketing for coaches, doing marketing for service-based businesses. And ultimately, it was a way to make money. It was a way to get out of the hustle and grind of like avoiding the corporate world and not having to work in restaurants anymore. But it wasn't my soul's work. I wasn't aligned with it. And after years of doing that, I got burnt out. And at that point, one of my clients hired me as a vice president of marketing for their sales coaching company. Between that and my agency, I was making like 30 grand a month, and it all imploded because at a soul level, I wasn't aligned with the work that I was doing. And I was like burnt out. I was exhausted. I remember resigning from that job with a really heavy heart and letting all the contracts expire from my marketing agency and basically letting my income go to zero. And so from 30 grand a month to zero is pretty much what happened. And then I started to rebuild from there. So that was a year and a half ago that I basically set everything on fire, burnt it to the ground. And from that place, I really got in touch with like, what do I want to do next? Who do I want to serve? Who do I want to help? And I knew I wanted to work with coaches. I really had a blast being the VP of marketing for this coaching company and learned a lot. Really love the coaching industry. So I decided I want to continue working with coaches. And then I kind of had this hybrid model that was like half marketing agency, half coaching. And I kind of just leveraged my network to work with different 6 and 7 figure coaches who wanted to scale and wanted ways to get clients online. So I was like managing one coaching offer for a business coach. I was um, setting up like a webinar system, masterclass system for a marketing coach, and these types of things. So I'm like half running ads, I'm like half doing coaching and half doing done for you marketing. And that didn't quite feel right either. So I actually built that business to 6 figures very quickly. It just took a couple of clients with that type of model because it's so high intimacy, high touch that I could charge significant prices. I was making like 10 to 12 grand a month with just a few clients. Now, I let all that expire at the beginning of this year because I was like, this isn't quite the right fit either. Like, I don't want to be doing all this done for you marketing still. I'm tired of it. I'm needing to just step into my full capacity as a coach and really work with people to help change their lives and teach them the marketing skills they need to grow their business online. And so that's what I've stepped fully into at the beginning of this year. And it's been scary. It's been transformational. It's been a lot of things because on this road to generating abundance, creating more wealth, impacting more lives, it's not like a straight shot to the top. It's like alligator teeth. You go up and you go down. So, I went from making 30K a month to zero and then, build things back up to 10, 12K a month back to zero to really follow my passion and my calling because the real key to longevity in your business and being happy and satisfied, and this is important, so I'd write this down, is picking something that you're deeply aligned with and picking something that you're so aligned with that you love doing it to the point that it doesn't feel like work. And the more you love it and the more you love serving your niche and the coaching and the transformation you provide, the longer you're going to be in the game and the better off you're going to be. So if you're really on fire for what you do, that is the biggest competitive advantage you can have because you will be in the game for longer. You'll love what you do so much that making content is easy, creating is easy. You love what you do. People feel that through your energy and what you bring to the table. And through that, the abundance follows. So it's not like some how do I make more money kind of scheme. It's like I take the right steps that I'm aligned with and the money flows. and follows me there. So anyways, that's my story of how I got to where I am today. Again, for those of you who are just joining, we're going to be doing a lot of journaling exercises. We're going to cover clarity around your income goals with your coaching business. We're going to get into money mindset and energetics. That's part 2. We're going to create a roadmap to increase your income. And at the end, also, I'll invite you guys to take next steps with me if you want to explore working together one-on-one. So my goal today is to help you clearly and confidently know, one, how much money you want to generate in your coaching business, and also give you a mindset to accomplish it. And if any questions come up along the way, feel free to put them up in the chat or write them down so you remember them, because we'll have like an open Q&A at the end. So to get started here, I love doing trainings from my iPad. So we are going to dive into that. And we have today's money mindset training. So part 1 for today is total clarity. We want you to be 100% clear on how much money you actually want to make. And if you guys are cool with it, I'm going to take you through a meditation to help you with that clarity. It's going to be like maybe 2-3 minutes. And we're going to do some journaling after, because I think there's some magic to this. So there's 3 C's of clarity, or 3 C's of change. So the 3 C's of change. Number 1 is clarity. So we have clarity. We have commitment. Once we have the clarity, we want to commit to making that change. And then we have certainty. And this is grounding in the energy of that belief that we can accomplish what we've set out to do. So clarity, this is like, what are you aiming for? What's your aim? Commitment is devotion. What are you devoting yourself to that you set your mind and heart on? And then certainty is you're grounded in belief. You're grounded in the belief that this is possible for you, and you tap into that energy every single day and you bring it to the table in the work that you do. So we're going to take a moment and close our eyes and take a breath. And we're going to go into this process of getting clarity. So pulling up my notes here. So yeah, let's just close our eyes for a sec, relax, take a breath, like feel the natural rhythm of your breath. And relax. And relax even more. So at the count of 3, we're going to think about your biggest, most expansive vision for your life. So 1, 2, 3. Biggest, most expansive vision for your life. What does that look like? Really envision that, sit with that. How much money are you making in your coaching business? How many clients are you impacting? Who's there with you? Next is, who do I need to become to fulfill this vision, this expansive vision? Who do I need to be? What qualities do I have? What am I doing? What actions am I taking? How am I taking care of myself? And what do I need to let go of? Not only what do I need to add, but what's on my not to do list? What do I need to let go of to become this thing, to live up to my destiny and fulfill this most expansive vision for my life? So take a few more seconds with all this and start to come back to the present moment. And write down what came up for you. Let's take a moment to journal on like what this expansive vision looks like, how it feels, what does the business look like, how many clients are you impacting, how much money are you making, and who's the person you're becoming through all of this. So take a moment, write this down. And I'll give this a few more seconds and then we'll move on to the commitment piece. So that meditation, you can take notes on it. You can do it in a longer format on your own time if you want to go deeper with it. I think it's a really useful one. In terms of commitment, I want you to write down, what are you devoting yourself to become that person who's making that level of money and making that level of impact. And you can just keep it simple, just write like what you're committing to and what that looks for you. I'll just take a few more seconds with that. And we'll talk about the certainty piece. So you're grounded in the belief that all this is possible for you. And so I want you to write like an I am statement or some sort of present state affirmation that helps you solidify and stand strong in the clarity and commitment that you have. So right now, I mean, my mantra is I create and receive millions of dollars worth of value. The keyword is value. Through my coaching and online programs. And the value piece is key because really money is just a reflection of the value we create. And the value we create is done on all the levels in our business. It's done through our marketing process, it's done through our sales process, and it's done through the actual coaching program, right? So it's not just the coaching where the value comes, it's through the whole ecosystem of our business. So the more value you weave into your marketing, your actual sales process, where you're like helping someone rise to their highest potential by giving them an opportunity to work with you, and through your actual coaching program, that's what the money follows. So you don't make money by not providing value and empty promises. That's maybe a way to make short-term money, but you won't have longevity in this business of coaching if you're not really leading with value and there's a through line of value through your entire business. So I kind of want to open up the floor for some people to share. If anyone feels called to share, I would be curious to hear about your process with the clarity, the commitment, and the certainty, and what that looks like for you and kind of what came up for you. And then we'll dive into part two, which is like the money mindset and energetics piece. So if anyone wants to share, feel free to unmute yourself and we can chat for a moment.
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, please.
Um, for me, I also grew up in a family that was poverty mindset. My dad was disabled. And so, living in that kind of childhood, really made me believe that I had to like prove myself to the world. And it's taken me a long time, 30 years of being in the professional world, trying to prove myself, getting degrees and trying to like really, like energetically like force myself into a world that just it taught me a lot of things. I have a lot of, titles and all of that, but like you said, trying to then follow my soul's path, take all those lessons and move in a new direction. And so I've been doing a lot of the meditations, but also like subliminal affirmations and things to try to help me remove those blockages from moving forward. So I feel like I've done a lot in maintaining the clarity, the commitment, having certainty, but then now having faith in myself to be able to do the business end of everything is where I'm a little shaky.
Yeah, and that belief and that confidence comes from taking the action and in getting started and doing the things, and that confidence builds over time, and that's what's really beautiful about this, and it's what makes our stories so interesting, right? Because if we were just like, hey, I want a multi-six-figure coaching business, and then the universe was like, okay, here you go, it wouldn't be interesting. It wouldn't be valuable or like worth pursuing, right? So the hardships we go through on the journey of learning are what, one, shapes our character, but two, make the whole thing worthwhile. Because how interesting of a story is it if it's like, well, I wanted a multi-six-figure coaching business, and then I put up one ad and I got like 100 clients, and it was pretty easy, right? Like versus like, hey, I created this business. I had to invest my time, my energy, my effort, really put myself into it, develop all these character traits, and I thought I was going to go bankrupt, and then I came out of it, and now I'm building like a solid coaching practice. Like that is way more interesting than like, hey, I want a coaching business, and okay, here you go. You have a coaching business. So yeah, the confidence piece comes through the actions we take, and it builds over time the more we do this. So yeah, thanks for sharing. Is there anything else you want to add, or do you feel complete?
That was it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else want to share before we move on? Maria, yes,
Hi,
please.
I first want to say that I really appreciate this meeting and I like that you're going slow enough and letting us actually look at the stuff. A lot of these people just rip through so fast you can't get any notes. I really appreciate you sharing all your knowledge and investing the time to learn all this stuff and help people.
Hmm.
I want to say I don't maybe fully understand the exercise. Does a value statement have to be surrounding money or can it be other things? I
I
mean,
guess it
this one's
depends.
just for money.
Yeah. It depends like what you saw for the vision of your life. So the the statement you create, I mean, for me, like this is the direction I'm going in, so I made this statement, right? For you, it might be like, I'm committed to posting content, 3 days a week,
Okay. Oh yeah, that's cool.
whatever,
I'm
whatever,
still,
whatever aligns with your goal.
I've been learning a lot this week about things. I'm in a coaching school and I'm just about to finish. I got a 94% on the final and I'm taking some clients through the 90-day program and I'll be done. Thanks.
Nice.
And so I've been learning now that apparently sometimes things that block what might block someone from moving forward is that even like say they want to lose weight or they want to make more money and they've been surrounded by a family and friends that are overweight. And when they start to look better, sometimes there's actually like a separation anxiety or a guilt that's attached to being thinner than everyone else. And all your friends are going to be upset. Or you make more money and I feel like I'm leaving my family in the dust because they have to do restaurant jobs. And I just want to point that out to everybody that that's the thing I'm working on with my mindset is learning sometimes if you feel stuck, find out what it is that you're afraid to let go of with that thing. Maybe sometimes you're connected to it in a way and you didn't realize it. Like I'm trying to just realize, hey, my family and friends have the same opportunities that I do. If they want to put in the work and they want to look and try, they could do something with themselves too. The universal consciousness or God or whatever you believe in will send it. There is a way if they seek it and they don't stop looking. So I just realized recently that maybe that's why I'm more so afraid of success than failure. It's more that I feel bad that I'm able to make so many thousands of dollars and I barely have to do anything. And I see so many people struggling. But I realize now that that's not my fault. Like Mel Robbins says,
Mhm.
let them. It's not my problem, whatever they're doing. I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And like the people we surround ourselves with definitely have an influence. And yeah, I mean, I remember I went to a mastermind the other month and my mentor was there and he was like, he's approaching 7 figures in his coaching business. And he's like, goal right now is to be a 7 figure coach. And we did this exercise where it's called intention objection. And basically you state an intention and then somebody like asks you for an objection of like why it's not
Oh,
possible.
that's great. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was really good. And so his intention was like, I am a 7 figure coach. And then his girlfriend was like, objection. And he's like, what if my mom doesn't talk to me anymore? It was so
Right.
funny. So it's real. Yeah, like the success that we have can alienate us in there's I think there's like a tribal thing to that, because to survive back in the day, if we got separated from our tribe, like we would probably die, like in the ice age or not ice age, but like prehistoric times when there's just tribes and we got separated
Right.
on our own, chances of survival very low. So I think we have it built into us in our brain where if we get separated from the herd, there's a high likelihood that we won't survive. And so by taking these risks, to become above average and become amazing at what we do and like top 1% and stand out, that is risky inherently, or at least we think it is. I'd say it's more risky not to, because average right now in America is not really that great to me. I would rather put in my best and give it my all to generate abundance, become wealthy, become impactful, and help people versus like succumb to average and be in the workforce like an average person and retire when I'm like 75 at this point and maybe have enough money by then, who knows. So anyways, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. That is a
I
really good
just
point.
recently learned that about that impacting the need to feel like you belong or to be accepted. And now it makes sense to me of why I'm like that. Because, of course, you do want people to like you. You want to be likable and you want to help people. The more they like you, the more they're going to listen to you. But for the most part, I'm constantly referring to different people in my life, like my one daughter. I'm always going, what would she say? What would she think if I did that? And so I'm trying to break that habit. I appreciate you sharing that because I didn't know that before, but I did just recently learn at school, and a lot of people don't understand why that's so. It's one of the major five core needs or whatever, to have belonging and accepting and safety, and because of that whole tribal thing. Yeah, that's pretty
Hmm,
neat stuff.
100%. Yeah. Probably have time for like one or two more shares. Is there anybody else? Oh yeah, Divya, let's go.
Yeah. So I've been doing my thinking on this. The site that came to me was me on stage with like thousands of people. I think that's how coaching came to me, where I could feel the impact they bring to the community. So it was that big scene. And then I work with a lot of people bringing in that change. Now, I come from India, and my financial, like, I come from middle class family, but we were financially pretty sound. So dad was in a good job. My mom didn't work. So I didn't have any role models with women working. So I decided I'll be a homemaker. That's fabulous. And the whole decision making done by dad. Always was looking for an approval. I was a pleaser, like, people have to like me. And I think that became a very strong force. Even now, when I stepped into entrepreneurship, I'm like, somebody tell me what to do. So
Yeah.
that's ongoing. But at the same time, I have my daughter, and that was my force to do things. But what is coming to me is be the leader you are searching for. So I'm like, it doesn't matter. Uh, all these years, it's like they talk of dimming the light. All these years, I thought I can't make in the real world. I'm too good, and I'm just very caring. It doesn't work. But I now feel like if people like us stop going out in the world, we are not doing the world any good.
Mm,
So we do the thing which we believe in, helping people, caring for people, making world a better place, and there could be more people who can get more light from us.
absolutely. Yeah, we're all put on this earth with a purpose. And the more we lean into that purpose and let our innate genius shine through, the more we are of service to the whole, and the better place the world is if everybody's doing that. So, yeah, there is a lot of societal conditioning and parental conditioning that keeps us stuck or keeps us in that average place. And so, yeah, having the bravery and the courage to step out, like you're talking about, is huge. So I look forward to seeing, how that manifests in your life. Anybody else? We can do one more share and then I'm gonna move forward. Okay, next part. So part 2 of today. This is money mindset and energetics. So, the whole goal was to kind of get clear on like where we want to go, how much money we want to make per month, because you need that anchor. As like your North Star. Like, this is where I'm headed. So I'll just say, to me, money is a form of energy. the reason I became interested in making more money to begin with is because I was tired of not having options in life. It's like waiting tables, like could barely take time off. In that environment, you often have to work holidays, weekends, nights. So your social life is kind of restricted to the people you work with who are on the same schedule as you. And I was like, I can't like travel very much right now. I can't afford like plane tickets to places I want to go. Um, I don't have like a lot of options. Like, this is the car I have to drive, this is the job I have to work, this is the food I have to buy, these are the things I can afford to spend money on. And so I was like, this doesn't feel like thriving. And like, I'm making decent money waiting tables at this point in time, but I was like, I want a life with more options and I want to live my richest, fullest life possible. And so believing that that was possible for myself and then finding ways to do that was key for me. So I think number one, when it comes to increasing your earning potential, and I actually was reading this in a book today by one of my favorite authors, Robin Sharma. He has a book called The Wealth Money Can't Buy. Would highly recommend that. He's also written another amazing book called The 5 a.m. Club and The Everyday Hero Manifesto. But he has all these different frameworks that just blow my mind. He's a coach to like billionaires, athletes, members of royalty, CEOs, like really high level people, helping them be at their best. And he has this framework called the 2x, 3x mindset, which is essentially, if you want to double your income and impact, then you have to triple your investment in your professional life and personal mastery. And so when I first started making money, I invested a lot in like stocks and crypto and things like that, like looking for something outside myself to generate more wealth, like thinking like, oh, I'll just buy enough Bitcoin and then, that'll hit $1 million and then I'll be good, or like, I'll buy these stocks and like, the stocks will pump and then I'll make some money. And deep down, it was because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to put money into me to make a change for the better, to create the life I wanted to create. And so I was always relying on these like external things. And it wasn't until I actually started investing in myself and seeing the result of that that I gained more confidence in like, okay, this is the path. So to double your income and impact, triple your investment in your personal mastery and professional life in terms of your craft. So that comes down to, skills that need to be gained. And the skills, from my perspective, in this world of online coaching, there's a number of skills. I mean, marketing skills are big, right? How do I do copywriting? What's the best content strategy for me? How do I reach more people in my audience, connect with them more, and have good ways of inviting them to work with me? Like, these are all skills within the realm of marketing that, as a coach, are essential to getting clients online. And then there's skills within your coaching itself. Like, how do I become a better coach to get my clients better and better results? So I think the number one thing to really increase your income right now is to focus on acquiring the skills you need to become the person who can hold that level of success. And so that's why I do workshops like this, is because there's strategy and there's identity. And I can give two coaches the exact same strategy. I could give one coach like, hey, like, here's a marketing plan and here's how you should do your ads and here's how you should do your content. And I could give that to another coach and like one will go make a bunch of money and the other will stay stuck where they are. And it's because they're missing this level of inner work and this level of identity and skill and belief in themselves to actually pull it off. And so by tapping into this type of like mindset, energy work around money, we can level up our identity to the point that we are on that wavelength to receive that level of success from the world around us. So I want to take another minute to just do like a rapid fire journaling exercise here, just to kind of expand our minds a little bit more. So first prompt is, what would I do if I could do anything? So just take a moment, write down like the first few things that come to mind there. And this could be anything. This could be work related. This could be travel. This could be, you could be like, I would retire and go to Thailand and live on a beach and do coaching calls from my laptop. Something like that, whatever you want. No limits. And then the next one is, what's blocking me from having that? For me, largely, when I was first setting out to be an entrepreneur, it was like working a draining job was a big one for me. That was, I guess there's no light without dark, right? It was giving me the income I needed to move forward, but it was also like an energy drain. So it had its pros and cons. But yeah, what's blocking me? This could be relationships that aren't serving, jobs, other things in your life, habits, attitudes. And then who would I be without that story? What qualities would I have? And then lastly, what's my mission and purpose as a coach? And Maria, I see you have your hand raised. 1 second. Divya says, can you please say number 3 again? Who would I be without that story of what's blocking me? And Maria, what was your question?
That's what I had, I caught the what would I do if I could do anything? And then the next one of what's keeping me from doing these things. That's what I needed. I had missed the third. And then while I was waiting for that, it made me miss the fourth one. I apologize. I was like writing and trying to, I missed it. I'm sorry.
I know it's hard for me to tell how fast
But
people
you're
are.
going super slow, way slower than any of the other meetings I've done all week. I really appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to pace it.
You're doing great. Thank you. It's me. It's been a long week.
Yeah, here I'll copy paste these in the chat actually. That's probably a good idea. So like now that you have this kind of vision of like, if I could do anything and there was no limitations and like my mission and purpose as a coach, how much money would you need to make per month to achieve that? Um, I'd be curious if you guys want to share in the chat what your goals are with the coaching business and like what you see as being necessary to live this lifestyle that you want to live. Uh, Give you 20,000 pounds per month because you're in England. I have Rebecca 10K US, but making millions in the future. I love that. 50K a month to live the dream life, but I feel guilty wanting that much money if I'm truly serving people. Wow. Well, here's the truth, Emily. If you're impacting that many people, you deserve to make that. And by making that much money, you're going to be able to reach more people because you can advertise your business. You're going to be able to provide better experiences for those people you work with because you'll have money to do awesome things for them and like build an incredible business, whether that's online or doing in-person events. And yeah, I feel like if you're impacting that many people and helping them change their lives and get these types of results through coaching, I think 50K a month is a beautiful goal. So that's my word of encouragement to you. Vanessa, 50K a month with my waterfront penthouse paid off. Yes, I love that. I want you to have that waterfront penthouse. That is amazing. 15 to 20K a month to start. As soon as I've overcome all my mental blocks, I'm going to be in the Millionaire Club. Okay. Let's put that in like present tense. Like I am in the Millionaire Club. Whether you have the money or not, it's the feeling that matters more. I don't know if you guys follow Joe Dispenza at all, but see, Danessa already went toward the penthouse for my dream building. Yeah, JD is the GOAT. Yes. So Joe Dispenza, he talks about the feelings that attract the reality we want to us in the quantum field. And essentially, if you already feel like a millionaire, you're vibrating here on the millionaire level, and life is it's a matter of time before you slip onto that same track in reality. So we have to be a little bit delusional as entrepreneurs. We have to believe in things that haven't happened yet, and that's the way it works. And so the more you're able to believe, like, hey, the clients are already here. I'm already a millionaire. I feel like a millionaire right now. This is amazing. My life is so good. I always have everything I need. Like the more you vibrate on that frequency, the more reality starts to bend and slide onto that track. So let's do present tense. I am in the Millionaire Club. Now, I want to share some tools.
Sorry, Nat, what did they call his name again?
Joe Dispenza.
Are you able to put the spelling on the chat for me, please? And thank you. Sorry, I can't be on camera.
Yeah, all good. I'll put it in the chat. Joe Dispenza. Check him out. He has amazing meditations. I really enjoy his work. He also put out like a documentary a few months ago that I haven't watched yet, but I definitely want to check out. So let's talk about tools. So I want to share some tools. So this kind of ties into what we just talked about, but like visualization, right? So if you can visualize making that much money and what your life looks like and how it feels, like set aside some time to meditate. I try to set aside like 20 minutes a day to meditate, and I incorporate different things, whether that's visualization or gratitude or whatever needs to be done in that time. Visualization is a strong tool. And I'll tell you guys a story, right? So this Comma Club award behind me is for generating $1 million in revenue with one marketing funnel. And I did this when I was the VP of marketing for the sales coaching company. And I also had my agency at the time. And so life is funny sometimes. Like I was sitting there and I'm meditating, and like before I had this Comma Club award, I literally visualized myself like walking up to the stage, meeting Russell Brunson, who's the founder of ClickFunnels, shaking his hand, getting handed the award, walking off the stage, like the camera lights flashing, the feelings, the visualization of it all. And I did that for like a year. And then literally I built this funnel for this coaching company, and it generated over $1 million in revenue. They hit like 5 million a year, 2 years in a row. And then I applied for this Comma Club award and got it. So life is funny because like I think God at the time was like, Nathan, you're not ready for $1 million of your own yet, but you want that Comma Club award? Here's how we're going to give it to you. Okay. Like that's the deal. So I got this Comma Club award, and visualization was a big part of that. So I'd encourage you guys to really visualize your goals, visualize how it feels to make that much money, feel how it feels to make that much money, and let that settle in and like anchor in on like a cellular level and really like feel that. That's going to help you create the life and create the business that you desire. Next is gratitude. And I was doing a gratitude practice pretty strong for years, where I would journal every night and like write down at the end what I was grateful for. And one of the things I wrote frequently was like, I'm grateful for my 7-figure coaching business. And this was before I even had a business, or I'm grateful for my 7-figure business. And it was before I haven't made 7 figures, but I'm grateful for it, right? So I'm setting it up in the frame of like it's already happened. And here's another story about how the universe works. So I'm grateful for my 7-figure business. I'm like writing this, every single night and like feeling it. And this sales coaching company that I become the VP of marketing for, I got in with them early. I was like one of the first 4 or 5 founding members. And they were like, hey, we want to raise funding and we're going to create like shares in the company. And Nathan, you helped us grow, like you helped us double our business in 1 year. So we want to make you a part owner. And I'm like, so one night I'm writing in my journal, I'm grateful for my 7-figure business. And then I'm like, holy shit, I'm a part owner of a multi 7-figure coaching business now. Like, how did that happen? So this stuff works, and sometimes the universe is going to serve it to you on a platter that's not quite what you thought. Like it wasn't actually that I made 7 figures in my coaching business. It was like, hey, Nathan, you're now an equity partner in a 7-figure coaching business. Like, what? Whoa, okay. So I did resign in the end, but if they ever sell the company, I'm still a part owner. So fingers crossed, I get a nice payday from that. We'll see. Next is giving. So this is super important. What we give, we receive back in multiples. And so I would recommend that you find some kind of charity that you donate a % of either your income, whether that's like 5% or like a percent of your savings every month, like what's left over, whatever works for you. But find a way to give to some kind of charitable organization, because that act of giving is going to set you up to receive more. So if you're really tight-fisted with money and you're holding on to it, it's hard to attract more. But if you have this give and receive, it creates a two-way street. So I would recommend you find some way of giving, and it's not like I'm doing this to like make more money and manifest more money. It's like, no, I'm giving from my heart. I'm giving because I have enough. I have more than enough. I'm abundant enough to even give a little here to make a difference. So giving is another powerful tool. Another one is affirmations. So I'm doing this right now. I'm writing, it's an exercise that I heard about. I went to a manifestation retreat and they talked about this exercise, but it's basically 55 times 5. So you write down, you create an affirmation, like mine is, I create and receive millions of dollars worth of value through my coaching and online programs. And I write that down for 5 days, 55 times in my journal. And with a long one like that, it took like an hour a day to do that. So maybe make yours a little shorter. But you write it in red ink 55 times. And that apparently does something to lodge it into your subconscious. Like I was like doing it before bed and like dreaming like that phrase was coming to me in my dreams. So it does something. There is some magic to that. I just finished the 5th day 2 days ago. So once you do it, you kind of send it off to the universe, let it go, and let it come back to you when you're ready to receive it. So affirmations are really powerful. I even have some like when I got back from this manifestation retreat, I had a lot of affirmations I was writing down. And I even have some I put on my bathroom mirror, right? So put it somewhere where you'll see it every day. You can put it in a frame by your computer where you work so you can see it. I also put this on my weekly planner. So I have a weekly planner where like I kind of frame out like what I'm going to do each day. And at the top, I put a space for like, what's my mantra for the week? And I write that down. So affirmations and mantras, we'll just double down on that. So mantra is actually interesting. I just learned it comes from the Sanskrit word. So manas is mind and tra is tool. So it's like a tool for the mind. And then let's see, we can talk about, I'll just use the word belief for this, which is essentially anchoring into your self-worth and anchoring into the belief that this is possible for you, the belief that you're worthy of receiving, this amount of money in your coaching business. And really sitting with that energy every single day. So some mornings, like if I'm not feeling it, I might just sit on my couch and just like sit with like, okay, like pray a bit, anchor in this belief of like certainty that I can do this, that I'm meant for this, that this comes to me easily and effortlessly. And once I feel that, I go about my day and like everything just flows better. Also, just understanding that the universe is a mirror. Okay, let's call this the law of mirrors. Law of mirror. I don't know what it's called exactly, but we'll just call it that. Basically, how we show up in our business and our financial life in all areas of our life is mirrored back to us through different interactions. And I'll give you an example. I was like at this mastermind and this guy was talking about how he had sales calls. And at the end of the sales calls, he'd get a lot of people saying like, okay, well, like I need some more information. Like, can you let me think about it? And the coach was like, well, can you, like, what's your own experience in your life like with that? Can you share with me, like, you know, when you're on a sales call, like, are you saying that to the people that you're talking to? And he thought about it and he was like, actually, yeah. He's like, I always like take a long time to make decisions and I think about things for weeks before I decide. And so he's like, well, obviously, like that's going to get reflected back to you. So nowadays I'm making decisions faster. Like if I know it's a yes, like my mentor invited me to go to Boulder. He sent me a text, was like, hey, 5K, you can spend a day with me. We'll go hiking and you come to this mastermind and you want to go. And I was just instant like, yes, like that feels like a yes. I know I'm going to get a ton of value. Let's do this. Because I want that reflected back at me when I'm making invitations to people who I know I can help, who I want to work with. So I would suggest you watch the energetics in your life and how you're relating to situations that involve investment, that involve money, and allowing that creating the energy that you want to see reflected back to you. There's a few other things I'll share, like on a practical level. One's called the JARS method. This is from T. Harv Eker, who wrote a book called The Millionaire Mind. If I was like still working a job, this is what I would do. Basically, like 55% of your income is essentials. So this is like rent and food and bills. 10% for education. This is like investing in yourself. And this is for kind of like average people who like have jobs and like this is the path that they're on. If it were me, I would take this other 10% and loop it into education, but it's investment, long-term investment. And then you have 10%, which is like guilt-free. Blow it. Do whatever you want. Guilt-free spending. Go buy those shoes you've been wanting. Let's see, that's 85, 95%. So long-term investment. Savings. This could be saving for a vacation. This could be saving for a wedding, saving for a house, whatever. And then 5% is hang on, I'm letting two people in right now. 5% is giving, gifts and charitable donations. So if I was like back to waiting tables, I would lean on this. I would, because I know I'm an entrepreneur, I would roll 20% into educating myself to be a better entrepreneur. And honestly, if you're living in the average situation in America right now, it's pretty, this sounds so bleak. It's pretty much impossible to like save your way to being rich and wealthy. The only way I believe you can do it is through entrepreneurship, building a business that has massive amounts of value that impacts massive amounts of people. And so I would say if that's your goal, if that's why you're here, then that's what you need to focus on. I don't want to say I regret investing in like stocks and crypto because I made a little bit of money, but like nothing compared to like if I took that same amount and invested it in myself 5 years ago, I would probably have like a 7-figure business by now, multi-7-figure business by now. So the opportunity cost of investing in these other things is high, very, very high, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you want to become incredibly competent at being an entrepreneur and making a lot of money. Investing in other things is tricky. It's probably not the way until you're making at least 7 figures, and then you have some extra money to start putting into other investments in a meaningful way, whether that's properties, crypto, stocks, whatever you like to do. So let's talk about a few character traits. And oh, you know what? Actually, Maria wanted to share something. So let's do that. Maria, you want to share an example of meditations and affirmations? Would love to hear. Oh, I think she had to go. Oh, dang. I wanted to hear that now. Oh, well. Rebecca shared, I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I always have more money than I need, and I can't help but attract more money into my life. Yes, I love that. And Maria, yeah, she had to drop. She really enjoyed this once the recording. We are going a little overtime here, guys, but this is a good flow, and I think this is good information. So we'll probably keep things rolling as long as everyone's loving it. Character traits. So being resilient and adaptable. Resilience and adaptability. This is huge because, like I shared on my journey, like it's been a roller coaster. I've made a lot of money. I've spent a lot of money. I've gone from 30K a month to $0. It's been crazy. So being resilient is key because you have to see the long-term picture and you have to be able to ebb and flow with what life serves you. And I firmly believe that, you know, the universe gives you what you're ready for. So I wasn't ready to exceed 30K a month, and certainly not with that business model, with that business that I wasn't aligned with. That would have been a nightmare. So I'm kind of glad it didn't happen, actually. And I'm seeing how it all is perfect the way that it is. But being resilient and ebbing and flowing and not letting your ego or your identity become attached to the money is key. Because for me, the hardest thing was being a six-figure earner for years and burning that to the ground so I could become a seven-figure earner, because that's what had to happen. I had a six-figure mindset and I was stuck there. So that was like an ego death. I can remember that, like going through letting go of all these clients and all this money I had coming in because I had a vision for a greater future. That was so hard. And it continues to be hard right now, where like I'm making this pivot and I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Holy shit. I just like fired all my clients and like burnt this business to the ground the other year that was like doing pretty good. So what's the trade-off for your soul's work, right? It's no price on that. So I know I'm doing the right thing, made the right choices, but it is a bit of an ego trap if you're like attached to the amount of money that you make. So watch out. Grateful. We talked about gratitude. So being grateful is important. Obviously, being positive minded. Everything exists in the mind. Your outlook on life, everything exists in the mind. So better to have a positive frame around reality and a positive attitude towards money and feeling like, let's say, for example, sorry, I just saw the chat pop up. Positive mindset. I lost my train of thought. I'll come back to this. Being growth minded. So if you're growth minded, you're going to ebb and flow with all the things that come up on your journey to building more wealth. I would recommend like you read books about money, you immerse yourself in a positive environment where you can grow. And what I was saying before with positivity is like everything exists in the mind. So the more you have a positive frame around reality and making money, and you feel good about spending money, and you don't feel guilty, and you don't feel like you're penny pinching and being frugal, the more that is going to flow to you both ways. So you spend money, you receive money, you give money, you receive money. And this is true too when you're like paying bills and things like that. Like if you're like, oh, I have to pay this bill and oh, it's like, I hate it. Like that's not a good frame. Like it's better to be grateful that you have the money to pay your bills than see these little negativities within your relationship to money. So be grateful for your spending, be grateful for your earning, be grateful for your giving, And that is going to continue to cycle up more and more abundance in your life. So any questions here? We're going to transition to actually like creating a plan to increase your income as a coach. So any questions here? Let me pop open the chat. Oh, Vanessa said, sorry, it's okay. Thanks for sharing. Your ego death was retiring from corporate America in June and leaving a somewhat secure, large paycheck and luxurious lifestyle. Yeah, I can totally relate. I've been there. That was tough for me to leave my 6-figure VP role. So I relate. Emily is asking for a recording because she has to jet. Yes, there's absolutely going to be a recording. Yeah, anybody want to share reflections, anything off of what we talked about here in terms of the money mindset and energy, any of these tools, any of these traits, anything you might want to share before we launch into part 3? Feel free to unmute yourself. I've learned to see life as a spiritual scavenger hunt. Oh, I love that. Yeah, the universe is always giving us little messages, huh? Like, I mean, when I go hiking, it's funny the things I find. Like, found like a snake skin, a butterfly wing, and a feather the other day, and I'm like, shedding my skin, soaring to new heights, transforming like a butterfly. It's all a message, you know? So it's all there in front of us. It's just up to us to see and interpret what it is. Part 3. Okay, well, if no one's got anything here, I'll dive in. This is huge. Okay, like time horizon is everything. Short term versus long term. Okay, so to build the business I'm building now, I had to let go of a lot of short term money to have the time and the energy to invest in what I want to do. And I still get tempted every single day. Like I have friends who just reached out to me and was like, we should start a school community and like teach sales and marketing to people. And I'm like, I got a pretty full plate right now. Like maybe we'd make some money, but like that's not the direction I'm going. Or even like if a company hits me up and they're like, hey, can you run our ads? Like we'll pay you monthly retainer. I'm like, it's tempting, but I can't because I have a long-term vision and the cost of the short-term money is not worth the cost of my long-term business. So like just in practical terms, let's say someone's like, hey, Nathan, we'll give you like 3K a month to run our ads, right? So that's 36K for the year if they stick around for a year. So let's say I start a coaching business and I'll just draw a graph and we'll say like 100K is down here. And let's say this is I don't know, one year time frame. So we'll put time here. So the coaching business is going to look like this. Nothing, 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 nothing. Maybe a client, nothing, 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 nothing. And then it's going to just take off because the audience is building every single day. The content is compounding in terms of how people are receiving it. And so for this time, like I probably could have made like 40K from, or sorry, not 40K, like 20K from doing this ads gig. But I missed out on all this momentum building my business to have 100K of revenue come in. So the longer term you can focus and the more you can just swat short-term opportunities away, the more money you're going to make in the long run. And then this 100K, like next year, is going to just keep compounding and be like, you could even triple. So then it's just like you're starting here and now you're going here. So because you're compounding over time, these jobs or gigs or things that keep you locked in to a certain amount of money per month are eroding your limitless potential. They're stifling your ability to create the long-term wealth that you desire. So, long-term focus, it wins always, and you might not make money for a little while. When you make that switch, my mentor calls it eating shit, which I don't really love that phrase, but that's what he says. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Now let's talk about like the actual steps. So we have some revenue goals here ranging from like 10K to 50K. So steps to hit like between 10K and 50K. So if you're to have your niche as a coach, let me know in the chat what your niche is. And that is step number 1, of course. So, step number 1, picking a niche makes it easy to stand out online, helps you have really good messaging that really resonates with the right person and attracts them to you, and makes you hyper relevant, which is very important in today's noisy online marketplace. Like people are like scrolling social media and then they see your reel and they're like, 5 seconds, like, is this worth my time? Not even 5 seconds now. People have less attention span than goldfish these days. Like 1 second, is this person worth my time or not? And having a niche is going to instantly give you that level of relevancy for them to be like, oh, great, this is for coaches. I'm a coach. Now I'm going to listen to this guy for another 4 seconds and see if he's worth my time, right? So we live in a very short-term attention span world right now. And this is largely due to all like the short form content that's out there and the way social media works and everyone's brains getting all scrolled out all the time. So having a niche helps you pop out immediately. Number 2 is offer that's high ticket. So at least 3K. I mean, if you're experienced and you've been in the game for a while, you can even charge as much as 8K, 20K. Like sky's really the limit once you get to a certain point. But for most of you who are on this call, if you're like under 10K a month, this is probably a good range for you to start with. So having a high ticket offer that bridges the gap from where your niche client is now to where they want to be in the future. So your coaching is what closes that gap. Your coaching is what helps them get that transformational result. In my case, that's like helping coaches attract more clients, or it could be if you're a fitness coach, helping executives add more lean muscle. Whatever it is, you have a niche, you have a result that you get that niche, and the result is worth them paying anywhere from 3 to 8K per month. I would recommend you start with one-on-one coaching, graduate to group coaching when your audience is bigger and you're getting more inquiries than you can handle and you're enrolling so many clients that you're like, I need a group program. I can't do all this one-on-one. So start with the one-on-one, transition to group, and then you can have ultra high ticket one-on-one, which is essentially like, 20K to work with you one-on-one, say. So you can keep your prices the same once you transition from one-on-one to group. Like let's say you're like, okay, 5K to work with me one-on-one, 5K to join my group program in the future. And now I'm just going for more volume and impact at scale. And then when you have this group program, you can kind of hand pluck like 10 to 15% of your audience who's at this level where they're like, hey, I'm a little bit more advanced, or like I want to work with you personally one-on-one and I can afford this type of price point. So you have your niche, you have your offer. I have 3 pillars in my system to attract more clients. So pillar number 1 is serve. And this is your niche and your offer. And then from there, you need what I call authentic marketing. And you need a way to market yourself authentically that feels good, that feels easy, that feels light. So you need a marketing plan that doesn't wear you out and make you tired. You need a marketing plan that energizes you, where you're like, this is awesome. I love doing what I do here. And this comes down to really three things. It comes down to content. Actually, let me rephrase this. It comes down to connections, how you're connecting with your ideal niche client. It comes down to connections, nurturing. So this is your content, your email, your ads, if you're running ads, like YouTube videos, like how you're nurturing your audience over time. And then you need an invitation process where you're inviting people to work with you one-on-one. So this is all a lot to unpack. So I just want to keep this really high level. You also need an enrollment process. So you need a way, like once you invite somebody to work with you, how do they become a client? So you need a process to take them through to enroll them into your high ticket program. So that's oftentimes your sales process. And I call this conscious selling. This is like not sales, like I'm going to twist somebody's arm and like force them to sign up for my program and be like an icky used car salesman. This is like, how do I help someone rise to their highest potential and make a transformation in their life? That's really the frame that we're coming from, because let's be honest, that's what our coaching is designed to do. It's designed to help people make a transformation, make a change, and whatever limiting beliefs are like holding them back from signing up, we need to have a way to talk them through that in an empowering manner, right? That's like, hey, I believe in you. I want you to rise to your highest potential. I'm inviting you to work with me to like overcome this big block in your life. And I know you can do it, and we can do this together. You know, that's kind of the energy that you're bringing to the call. And whether they want to step into it or not is up to them. Like, we're not attached. So these are really the four things you need. You need your niche, you need your offer, you need authentic marketing, which pillar number 2 is attract. So we need to like attract the right people into our world through authentic marketing. And then pillar number 3, I call this invite. This is the enrollment process, inviting someone to work with you. So serve, attract, invite, it breaks out into these 4 things. So let's see, is there anything else I want to cover here? I think what's important to note is infusing value into all 4 of these things. So we talked about money being a form of value exchange. And the more we can infuse value into our offer, like how valuable can I make my offer, right? When you do your market research and you interview someone and you find out all the problems that they have, how valuable can you then make your offer when you solve so many problems for them? Like, let's say, I'll just use the fitness example because I enjoy fitness, right? Let's say someone wants to transform their health and fitness. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna give you a grocery list. I'm gonna give you a workout plan. I'm gonna be there to offer you accountability. I'm gonna give you all the supplements that you need. And I'm gonna also give you a mindset training to help you stay on track with all of this so your negative thoughts don't get in the way, right? Like, now you took something that's like, I could have just given the guy a workout plan and been like, here, good luck, and maybe he'll give me like $100 for that, tops. Or I can have a whole package that's like 6 months and like, bro, we're gonna hit this, you're gonna get this result, it's gonna be epic. Here's everything you're gonna get. Let's go. So the more value you can put into your offer, the more you can charge. And then value in your marketing, like create valuable experiences for your audience, create valuable, helpful content for your audience, help them see their situation differently and what they need to believe to become a client with you. And then the enrollment process, like even having value there where it's like, sure, it's a sales call, but also you're like, hey, let's go, like, let's rise, let's be at your best and reach your highest potential through this process together. So the more value you infuse in everything, the more you're able to attract the money you charge for your coaching program to you. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to open this up for Q&A. There is like one bonus thing I can teach about, which is actually something crazy that I found out if you want to hear that. But yeah, for those of you who are still here, would love to invite you to have a discovery call with me if you're interested in taking the next steps. This is for, coaches who are under 10K a month, who want to start attracting more clients into their coaching business, whether that means you're just getting launched or you've already had your first few clients, open to work with you in either scenario. My process, which I've just laid out for you: serve, attract, invite. I basically will work with you to help you figure out your niche, really refine that, refine your offer, be able to charge high ticket for it, have a marketing plan that's authentic, that's intuitive, that feels light, where you're like, this is easy, this is fun. I'm so grateful that I can do this and make money. Like, that's how you want to feel in your marketing. And then have like an actual sales plan that you can use to enroll clients. So what does your sales process look like? So my program is 6 months long. It's one-on-one right now. And if you're interested in learning more about that, I will drop a link in the chat for my Calendly. It'll just be like a 15-minute discovery call. It's designed to give you value. So essentially more of a business assessment where I'll ask you some questions about where you are now, where you want to go in the future. We'll get really specific around your situation. And if I think I can help you, then we'll discuss what that might look like, and I'll invite you onto a second call with me. So I will drop that in the chat, and then we can go one of two directions. We can go closing Q&A in like live coaching, or we can do both. I can share with you just the state of money in the US right now from the research I did leading up to this training, which just like blew my mind. So either way, what would you guys like to hear? Vote in the chat. Let me know, is it B for both or B for the state of money in the US? Both. Okay. So, okay, back in the day, we used to trade gold and silver for goods and services, right? And then we had a gold standard, which was like the US dollar is a note that's equivalent to a certain amount of gold that's held in a reserve. And if we want more money, then we got to go mine some more gold to make some more notes. That's how it used to work. And then they abolished the gold standard because it restricted things in difficult economic times. And now we have a money printing machine that just goes and just prints a ton of money all the time. So right now, if you look at the way money is measured by the Federal Reserve, there's 3 tiers. One, the actual amount of currency in circulation is like $2.3 trillion, right? So if you make $1 million, that's like 0.000004 of that. So no one's going to care if you make $1 million. It's easy. There's so much money out there. But the crazy reality is how banks can lend out money, and essentially they can lend out insane, like basically 10x what the deposits are. So if I make a deposit in a bank for like 10 grand and they give me, let's say I take out a loan and they give me 10 grand, and then I put that 10 grand in another bank, that bank can then make another loan for 90% of that based on that loan that I got. And so this multiplier effect keeps happening. And so what's really happening is there's $21 trillion of total money supply right now. $21 trillion. And it's not all paper currency, it's digital. There's numbers on a screen that don't even exist. So money is not real. It's just printed out of thin air. And so they create money out of nothing, basically. And so the debt, which I asked ChatGPT, I was like, hey, what's like the debt across like every sector in America right now, like federal, state, household, financial sector, like everything, is 83.2. This number is so insane. It's $83.2 trillion. And so how the game works is they never intend to pay off this debt. They just intend to service it. So as long as they print enough money to service the debt forever, ongoing, it's fine, according to them. But what really happens is the currency loses its value, inflation gets crazy, which we're already seeing. And who benefits from inflation is the people who own all the assets, because what happens when the dollar is devalued, like housing prices go up, asset prices go up. So like, Bitcoin is pumping, stocks are pumping, housing prices go up. And who owns that? But like the elites who control the money supply. So inflation is really a good thing for them at the end of the day. But the upside of that is there's more money for us as well. So if we believe, and I think we're in a very rare time right now where we can start online businesses and generate this type of income, which is kind of unprecedented. Like back in the day, you'd kind of be a pawn in the whole scheme of things, and you wouldn't have this level of mobility. And I think we have like a good 10-year window where this is open, where we can literally shift what class we're in through our online business before like AI gets out of hand and all of this and starts replacing more and more jobs. I think we have a good 10 years where we can make a lot of money online and be super abundant and like set our families up for long-term success. So that's how the game works. They just print money to service the existing debt, and they never intend to pay off all the debt. So they just keep creating more money, and the rich get richer. And there's like a crack in the system right now where we can move up the ladder through building an online business. At least that's what I believe. So that's the craziest thing. And if you want to play the game, like something I'm doing right now, which I didn't realize I was actually doing until I learned this, but basically, like I got a business loan when I had my marketing agency because I was making good money. I could get a business loan. And you probably can if you're just starting out. It just might not be for like a very high amount. But basically, if you get a business loan, you're just playing the same game as them. You're like using other people's money to finance your own endeavors. And then once you start, the whole goal is you make enough money to outpace your interest rate. So if I borrow a loan from, the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and the interest rate is like 10%, I want to grow my business faster than the 10% that I owe. And that's how they play the game, and they just keep printing more money to service the debt and outpace the interest rate that they've created. So the whole game relies on the amount of money in circulation creating enough economic growth to the country as a whole that the economic growth rate outpaces the interest rate. That's what they hope. So it's insane how it works, but we can benefit from this. There's a crack in the matrix. We can make some money and get rich online. It's possible. So I'm going to open this up for Q&A. I'll drop the Calendly one more time. If you guys want to book a call, I'll drop that one more time. And then, yeah, any questions? And I want to kind of read people's comments because this whole like blew my mind. Vanessa likes to reframe on inflation. She is feeling pretty down about that. Yeah, it just creates more opportunity for us because we're doing things outside the norm. If we were a common person with a regular job, like it wouldn't be cool to be in that lane and be like, this is my destiny. I got to work this job. And like everything is like buying a house is going to be impossible for most people in the coming years. So we need to build our businesses, build a strong frame of abundance for ourselves, and build this dream life through what we're doing here. Rebecca says, I completely agree with everything you're saying. Thanks for sharing your thoughts so I know I'm not crazy. Yeah, it does sound crazy. I know. Like, I was reading this stuff and I was like, should I even share this? Like, this is freaking insane. But here I am. We are the glitches in the matrix. Yes, yes. So, okay, any last minute Q&A, any last minute coaching that you guys would like?
I have a question, Nathan. This is Danessa.
Hey, Danessa. Yeah, what's up?
Hey, I'm trying to decide upon my niche. I saw you sent out a free niche thing, I believe, recently. I actually have that pulled up on my computer, and I think you had like 4 circles on there, and I was trying to remember what those were, like passions and strengths. And so I was kind of wondering about that. I don't know if that's an easy thing to reiterate those 4 circles and a way to think about it. But what I'm struggling with is, as far as my niche is concerned, having a big enough audience, because one of the things I was considering is doing it on, I had a very traumatic childhood when it came to religion and a cult. And then I also, one of the things you made me think of was, you actually lit this up in me, was coaching women who have brought themselves up from poverty to financial success, but still feel something is missing, like purpose or that type of thing. And I just didn't know if you had any opinions on one or both of those, or.
Yeah, there's a few ways to look at this. You one way is like you're building a business around this niche. So it's like, who do I want to serve? And who do I want to surround myself with every single day? That's kind of an empowered decision, like, do I want to work with this type of person or that type of person? Who do I feel best around? I do think if you have a story about how, you came from that background and you rose up, but you still had all of these, leftover attachments and feelings, you could build a business around that. A way to validate your idea, like, is because that is a potentially great niche, like financially independent women who, how would I frame this? Like they want to like heal their relationship around abundance, but they've found success. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I would interview them and see, like, for one, is this the type of person I want to work with? And 2, is this like a gap that they want to close?
Okay.
That is most important. The niche has to have a gap.
Right. Right.
And so the 4 things were like your skills, your passions, your personal experience, which it sounds like this feeds into, and then like a market you could serve, which would be like financially independent women or career driven women, however you want to frame it. And the idea of like, hey, these are successful women, that could even work, who are making money, but they have like aspects around abundance that they want to heal. What was
Yeah, I
your
like that.
what was your other niche?
So the one was either bringing yourself up, because I basically have a personal experience with both, right? I was raised in a cult and I was also raised with no money. And so it was like I had to basically build myself up from all of that. And so both of those, right? It's either, children of like religious trauma or women who were raised in, I think there's something else juicy there that I can't get my hand on right now, like mothers that weren't emotionally available or something like that, like, because I have so much trauma from that, even though I've achieved so much success in my life that the outside world would call success. I don't, I have to work on that inner stuff around my worth. And so I'm really loving self-worth stuff, focus, and things like that, because I don't know if you know that book, like Adult Children with Emotionally Immature Parents. I think that's a big kind of like where my head's at,
Yeah, I think this kind of like step up where you're talking about now is a sweet spot. Like, I help successful women, or successful women might have a good grip on their self-worth, but you could, help women with their self-worth. You could help successful women with childhood trauma. That's like a common thread, it sounds like, is just like
Yep.
the trauma piece. And so whether that's specific, I think it's good to keep it higher level, because if you're too specific, you might not reach a big enough audience.
That's what I was worried about. Yeah. I was worried about being too narrow.
Yeah, I think helping women overcome trauma, and whether you want to specify childhood trauma or not, and then helping women with self-worth, those are both like great markets and great avenues to explore.
Okay. Thanks for your input, Nathan.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions before we close out?
Maybe something around guilt around success, because a lot of people self-sabotage when they start to feel guilty about achieving success.
Yeah. So self-sabotage is an interesting one, because that comes forward in a lot of different ways. Like, at the end of the day, like I talked about my story where like I had this business that was doing well, and then I burned it to the ground because I didn't like it anymore. Like, that's kind of a form of self-sabotage. So as you're building your business, you want to be really intentional around how you operate within it. And because you don't want to become a prisoner to your own thing. So I'll talk about it from this angle, and then I'll talk about the guilt angle as well. So if you are marketing yourself, say, and I used to do this too, where like I'd be like, okay, I gotta like show up on Facebook every day, and I gotta make a Facebook and Instagram story, and then I need to like, DM a bunch of people. And I was just exhausted. Like, it wasn't sustainable. It burned me out. And so if you create systems in your business that are unsustainable, you're gonna self-sabotage because you're not gonna like it. And there's gonna be this weird dissonance and disconnect where it's like, hey, I built this business to like give me freedom and like make more money and have a great lifestyle, but then I'm like, working 8 hours a day doing stuff I don't even want to do. Like, why am I doing this? So there's that piece where being very intentional about how you build the business is going to help you have longevity and build it for the long term and enjoy the ride. Now, when it comes to the guilt around making money.
Can I have a question about that real quick?
Okay, yeah.
Why does destruction have to be part of your growth structure?
Destruction?
Yeah, because you burned everything to the ground in order to start over.
Yeah, so if I didn't do that.
So I don't understand why you felt the necessity to burn things to the ground, so to speak. Maybe, say to the clients, I'm no longer going to be doing this at the end of 6 months, so you need to find other people to do your marketing. But I don't know. I find the concept of burning things to the ground to be pretty negative.
Yeah, maybe that was a dramatic way of saying it. I basically let all the contracts unwind and like didn't renew anybody. So yeah, that's my version of burning it to the ground. I wasn't like calling people and being like, I quit. I'm firing you as a client. I'm never working with you again. It wasn't like that. It was like, I'm going to let all my contracts expire, and I'm not going to, move forward with this business anymore and seek more clients.
It just seems like a kind of a painful concept.
Yeah, it was hard. It was
Yeah.
difficult. And, but here's the thing is like, let's imagine you're doing something you don't want to do, and you show up to do it every day, and you have this resistance inside of you that's like,
I think we can all imagine that really easily.
Yes. But you also know that it doesn't serve a long-term or higher purpose in your life, right? It's not feeding your next steps. You've had your experience and you're ready to let it fall away. And so if I continued to hold on to that and keep that marketing agency and keep working with clients I didn't like working with and keep helping businesses grow that I didn't care about in industries that I don't even like, then I'm carrying that into my new business. And so I show up with this disconnect of like,
Mhm.
I tell myself I'm building a 7-figure coaching business, but now I'm doing ads for a cosmetic surgeon. Like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like an umbilical cord to your safety net. I mean, that's where you've had financial safety for a long time. And it's hard. I mean, you could almost coach around how do you cut that umbilical cord to your safety net to move forward. I mean, that's almost a coaching niche in and of itself.
Yeah, and that does come up in this work. I mean, I have a client that I've been working with for months who had 3 different gigs she was doing to make money. They're all coaching related, but none of them were her own business. And so we're like, 2, 3 months in, and she's like, I'm just like not making the progress I want to make, and I'm not sure, like I don't feel like I have time, like I don't know what's going on. So we really looked at her schedule and like how she's allocating her time, and it's like, okay, you got to quit one of these gigs. You got to cut the cord and then invest this time into your own business, because if you don't do that, then this is what you're going to keep getting. You're going to have 3 coaching gigs you do that have 0 growth potential for your income. Like, what you get is what you get. And you're not going to have time to build the business you want deep down. So that is part of this coaching too, is like it works with people's life circumstances. It's not just like, hey, like, did you get your niche yet? Like, did you get your offer figured out? There's like so much nuance and like so many interpersonal things that come up along the way. So yeah, I mean, there are people who are specifically transition coaches. They help people with major life transitions. And I think that that is a good thing for sure. But yeah, for me, I mean, I have a strong marketing background, and if you wanted to help people with transitions, then more power to you. But it's not for me.
I think
Maria,
it's all about transitions. I mean, the whole process of going from here to there is a transition.
indeed, indeed. And then the guilt piece, that was the second thing that you had asked, or the first thing that you had asked about. That's a hard one for me to relate to. I'm trying to think of a time when I felt like really guilty about making money. I can't really think of a time. Like, the whole reason I started waiting tables was because it was my biggest money making opportunity at the time. So I've kind of always thought like that to some extent, of like, how can I make the most money with my time? But then when it comes to being like successful beyond the average, it just feels good. Like when you're like, hey, I can go to the grocery store and like buy whatever groceries I want, and like I can book this flight and go to this place, and I don't have to think twice about it. And I guess it depends. Like, if you have a family that's really judgmental or condescending, then that might be a problem. But I guess I don't have that. I mean, my family is like stuck in their ways, and they're very scarcity minded, but they're not like telling me like, Nathan, you shouldn't go to Peru and like you shouldn't invest money in your business. They're like, oh, that's cool. I'm happy that you did that. I hope you had a good time, So I guess I just don't have that personal life experience. And I guess if I did work with someone who had that, we'd probably have to explore some earlier childhood memories of like, did you feel guilty for like receiving money, or for like shining bright in your brilliance at one point in time, or just figuring out what that's connected to, which is going to be unique to that person. Let's see, I think, Rebecca, didn't you have a question in the messenger thread about audience building, was it?
Yeah, because I've been trying to do the authentic social media, presentations and stuff, but I don't seem to be attracting the right clientele to me. And so then I was just trying to figure out, how do I be more efficient and being authentic, but I'm still not attracting in the right clients.
Okay, so who's your niche? Can you remind me?
So my niche is parents. Originally, it was going to be single moms with struggling teenagers because that's what I was. I have autistic now adults, but so I'm very good with helping like parents be able to learn how to communicate with their teenagers who are trying to like break away and be their own independent self in this crazy world. Um, so I've developed a 7-step program for getting on the same page and having difficult conversations. I have a 90-day mentorship program that helps families kind of resolve their issues. So I've worked with 3 other coaches, so I've done a lot of the meat and the potatoes of it, but just attracting in the right clients that are going to stick with me. And I was just wondering if you had advice on that.
Yeah, so I guess how are you, it sounds like you're clear on like who you want to serve. How are you building your audience to begin with? Like what are you doing right now to
So
connect with?
right now I was doing Instagram and I was doing Facebook, and now I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. So I don't know if I'm trying to do too many things and I just really need to focus on one and like narrow in. So I said I'm new to the whole business and the marketing and the advertising and things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, Instagram is a good channel. I'll just speak to each of these platforms. So, when it comes to, let me just draw things out here on my iPad. So, I mean, when it comes to your audience, I have this thing called the audience flywheel, and it looks like this. Okay. So you have like connections here, and I actually have a whole YouTube video about this that you should watch. But I have connections, I have nurture, and then I have invite people to work with you. So your problem is up here at the connections piece. You don't have the connection with the people that you want to work with yet. And so with these channels, I mean, Instagram, to really go beyond your reach or to really reach more people right now, is about reels and essentially like, DMs are another way to reach people directly. But with that platform, you have to rely on other people following you. It's not like you can send a follow request.
I feel like I'm talking at people rather than it being like a conversation.
Yeah. How do you mean? Like with your reels?
Yeah, like I'm sharing authentically. I'm putting the information out there. But then yeah, not getting the feedback, so it's like I feel like it's a one-sided conversation.
Hmm. Yeah. Instagram is tricky because like with your audience, they show your stuff first to like people outside your audience or like outside your followers. And like if it starts to get likes and traction, then it kind of goes viral from there. So for me, Instagram is a tough platform for me because personally, I make a lot of really niche specific content for a small segment of the market. So when I post like a reel or something, like maybe at best I get like 1,000 views, but typically it's like 100 or so. And so it doesn't quite catch on to that traction. Now for you, where you're like talking to parents, I think I do have some potential to make good reels with that and reach more people. It's just a matter of the messaging, I believe, which we can also talk about. But I want to get into, because I think there could be some other opportunities here for you. So with Facebook, like friend requests are huge. So you can essentially send a direct connection request to somebody who's in your niche market. And easiest way to find those people in the beginning is like to find other Facebook groups and find people who are, in your niche. Like there's got to be a million either single moms or like parents Facebook groups out there. And you can find these groups and just like add friends from those groups and start to make connections that way. Instagram is more like you're reliant on the algorithm to like show your content to the right person at the right time, which can be a little bit tricky, especially if you're more niche. Like for people who are serving more broad niches, like just men or women, Instagram is great because you get a 50-50 chance if your reels are going to reach a man or a woman who's interested in your thing, you know? So, but if I'm like marketing specifically to coaches or specifically to like single moms or parents with, teenagers, it might not catch right away. And then YouTube, this is all keyword based. So I use YouTube as a nurture channel. Even my coach who has done extensive posting on YouTube with targeting keywords told me that like for the amount of work that he did, he didn't make very much money. Granted, he has this whole library of awesome content now, but he said it was more of a nurture play than a growth strategy. So, I would suggest you get started with, Facebook. You can reach out very directly to people that are in your niche and you find them through groups. YouTube, you could try some keyword-based content. I use it more as a nurture channel. And all of this, like if you can funnel all of this to an email list, you ultimately want to like own the traffic. So you're not reliant on like sometimes I'll post something on Instagram and like it will only show it to like 20 people. Other times it will show it to like 1,000. So I can't really rely on these platforms to always give me the reach I want. But if I can have an email list and a text message list, then I own that traffic and I can like broadcast my content to it when it's appropriate.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to schedule with you so we can talk more about the email list, and because I have Go High Level, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really tech savvy yet. So I don't know how to capture the emails and the texts to that point. So I'm going to schedule with you so we can talk more.
For sure. Yeah. Go High Level is like the most technical platform. I almost got it, and then I'm like glad I didn't. I've worked with it quite a bit, but yeah, my mentor reminded me, he's like, I just use the tools that are like the best in class at what they do specifically, and they're very easy to run. So yeah, we can definitely discuss that though, and like strategies to grow your email list and everything else.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else here? I think, it's probably a good time to sign off. It's 2:00. We've gone for 2 hours. Wow. Amazing. Well, yeah, grateful for you too. Thanks, Rebecca. And yeah, I hope you guys got a ton of value today. And we'll see you in the next live.